Okay, so what we're showing here is how to pass a parameter and a value between two pages. Basically what we have is we have two view objects. One is just the normal departments views, selecting all the departments. The other one is the department by param, which basically has a select star where a specific field equals a parameter, right? So what we want to do is we actually want to have two pages. The first page is just the list page. Here we're going to use the full list of departments and just drop it as, let's say, a table on the page. Right. We'll enable row selection and whatever other behaviors you want. So this is one view used in this page. Then the other page, which we call the single page, on this page we actually want to show just a specific department. Now I already shown it in the previous blog that you can use the same view object on both and you'll get it working, but I'm just trying to show a more, I guess, complex way of doing stuff, or basically another way to pass parameters. So over here we're just going to take the other view and drop it as a read-only form, like that. Okay, we can add navigation controls just to prove that there are no other departments once we select one. And then we have the page flow, and on the page flow we're basically going to have the list page being called first and then directing it to the single page. Now in the middle what we want to do is actually invoke the selection of a specific department. So what we're going to do here is go to the operation where we have the execute with params with a specific parameter for the second view. We're going to drag and drop this as a method to our page. Right? We need to specify where the value is going to come from. Let's use the expression language builder, and we actually want to take things from let's say the page flow scope, and we'll just call our parameter PID. Okay, that's just the name I chose. It can be any name. So let's copy this, by the way. It might make it easier later on. Okay, so this is where the value is coming from for the execute with params method, right? So once we execute this method, we're going to go to this page, okay, like that. And we also want to navigate from the first page to this method. Right? Now let's go to the first page, list page. And what we want to do is actually, once someone actually clicks on a row and selects it, we want to do the navigation. I don't want to do it in a select list scenario. I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm just going to convert this item, which is currently an output text item. I'm going to convert it to a link. So we're going to lose the value, so let's just remember that it's row department ID, and I want to actually have it here like that. So we'll still see the department ID in here. And you can see the little arrow here, it's because there's a validator or a converter here that is no longer needed, I think. Yeah, this should be okay. Now when we click this, we want to do the navigation, so we'll just do, sorry, we need to define a name for the navigation. Let's call this one the select navigation. Like that. So the first page, when we click this link, we want to go and do the select navigation like that. Right. The other thing we want to do is we want to pass the value of this specific row. Right. So this is the value we're going to pass, the row department ID. And in order to pass it, we're going to use an operation component which is called set property listener. Okay. So we're just going to use this one and drag it onto the link, okay, and we're going to take it from the row.department ID. That's the value of this field. We're going to place it into the page flow scope PID parameter on the action. Right, so that's basically setting the value into a parameter that is going to be passed between the pages. Now we need to also use this parameter here in the method. So if we actually look at this method, okay, if you remember correctly, we set the parameter for it already to use the page flow scope. Okay. So now we should be able to just right click and say run here. So to recap what we did, the first page has a list. When we click on a button, we take a value from this page and put it into a page flow scope PID parameter, which is then passed to this method, which is then going to execute the query, finding a specific department and showing it here. One more thing you might be able to do is if you actually go to edit binding, you can see the parameter here as well. So you can set this parameter later on if you want to. Right, let's look at the pages and the application that we just built. Okay, we have the departments. Let's choose, let's say, department 120 and click on it. This will do the navigation and get us department 120 here. Okay. If we go back and invoke the page again, okay, let's choose another department 70, and what we'll get in the second page is 70. So those are two different views.